Well, Madam Chair, thank you so much for those comments. Pastor Hennessy, thank you so much for inviting me here today. And I want to say this. Good afternoon, Vancouver Avenue First Baptist Church. I will tell you, it is truly a blessing to be here with you today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mengus Maps. I'm one of your commissioners on Portland City Council. Thank you. We don't get very much applause in City Council, so I'll take it now. And I'll also tell you this. It is a great honor to be here today to represent the city of Portland as we come together to celebrate the life and birth of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I also want to share this with you. Being here today is, for this celebration, is not only a professional honor for me, it is also a deeply personal honor. And here's why. I don't know much, but I do know a couple of things. I know that I am speaking to you at the only Portland church where Martin Luther King Jr. preached a sermon right here at this podium. And I can tell you this morning, I can feel the heat from that coming off this podium. I am sweating deep. And I also know this. I am here today because of the sacrifices made by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let me tell you, here's something else I know. Portland was founded 173 years ago. And in all of that time, only 4 black people have been elected to Portland City Council. And I am one of them. Now that's a sign of how much progress we've made, and it's also a sign of how much work is left to do. And I know I don't need to tell this room in particular how much work is left out there to do. You know, here in Portland, 95 years after the birth of Martin Luther King, we still struggle to fulfill the promise of the civil rights movement. Here in Portland, 95 years after MLK's birth, people who look like me are still more likely to be the victims of crime and more likely to be arrested than our white neighbors. And here in Portland, 95 years after Martin Luther King's birth, there is no neighborhood where the average black family can afford to buy a home. And here in Portland, 95 years after Martin Luther King's birth, people of color are still subject to acts of racist abuse and violence. And here I want to pause and share a personal story. As many of you know, I am the proud father of 2 young black boys, ages 13 and 15. And a couple of years back, my youngest kid came to me and asked for a cell phone. And I said, what every dad says the first time you hear that question from one of your kids, why do you need a cell phone? And here's what my son Coltrane said to me. Dad, when I ride my bike home from school and I go through the park, there's a guy in the park who throws rocks at me. And when that happens, I want to be able to call you. Now that story reminds me of another story. That story also happened here in Portland. Actually, it just happened a couple days ago. Like all of you, I was appalled and heartbroken when I saw the racist image broadcast on one of our local television stations. And you know what that image depicted, and you know what that image celebrated. That image showed white people throwing rocks at black kids. That hurts. Because like you, I still live in a Portland where people cast stones at people who look like me and look like you and look like our children. And that's why I want to pause here and thank Pastor Hennessy and James Posey and our local chapter of the NAACP for the work they have done in the wake of that incident to demand that Portland do better. So please join me in giving our Pastor James and the NAACP a big round of applause. And Pastor Hennessy, I want to speak directly to you too. I want to thank you personally for your friendship and mentorship to me. I'll tell you, folks, in my short time in public life, Pastor Hennessy has been a friend and role model to me. And I'm not alone. Pastor, you are a friend and role model to all of us. And you remind us that all of us must continue to take up the work of righting the wrongs of the past and righting the wrongs of the present. Our work is to fight for civil rights, social justice, and economic opportunity for today's generation of African Americans and people of color, and for our children and for our grandchildren too. Now, by taking up that work, we reaffirm a fundamental truth, and that truth is this: Black lives matter. And as the politicians are likely to do, I'm going to close by asking for two favors from you. First, I want to ask each and every one of you to please be like Pastor Hennessy and take up the work of building a better and fairer Portland. And I have a second favor to ask from you. As you take up that work, please remember to pray. Please pray for me. Please pray for my colleagues on City Council. And please pray for the city that we all love. I will tell you the God's truth right now. We all need your prayers now more than ever, and we need you more than ever. I want to thank you for being here today, and I can't wait to come back. I will see you soon. Thank you so much.